All right. Hello, citizens of the Nitroverse. It's Nigeria once again. Of course, as this being the month of September, we're continuing our kind of birth month celebration, or at least my birth month celebration. But you all are invited to the celebration as well. Really, it is our birth month celebration. But anyway, that's beside the point. I'm providing you guys with first of all, I'm providing you guys with some more gameplay. Admittedly, as I'm recording this audio, I'm deciding I'm recording the audio first before I do actual gameplay, so I haven't decided which game I'm recording yet. Um, but I'm sure by the time this goes up, and in fact, definitely by the time this goes up, you'll see the gameplay on screen, and you'll see me probably failing at it, miserably, might I add. But not only am I providing some more gameplay for you guys, some more, I'm sure, just epic, thrilling gameplay, but also providing you guys with some more mythos about my childhood. As I've mentioned probably once or 1,000 times now, I started my wrestling fan journey really in 2008. Now, I kind of been a part-time fan in a way because I had some of the wrestling video games. Like I had WF Smackdown on the PS1. My brother actually gave me his copy of Smackdown vs. Raw 2007 because he was getting Smackdown vs. Raw 2008 when it came out, so I had that. But 2008 was really when I got into pro wrestling and growing up as a kid, I was a SmackDown kid. I feel like a lot of kids were, especially after like the brand split and everything, were either Raw kids or SmackDown kids. And for me, I was definitely a SmackDown kid for a couple reasons. For starters, there's unlike Raw, which was on a Monday, a SmackDown was on a Friday. So Monday, of course, was a school night, so I had to go to sleep early and get up the next day for school right at the beginning of the week. So I didn't watch Raw that often. I did tune in sometimes. And famously, there was the episode where Jeff Hardy dove off the stage onto Randy Orton. I saw that live, but I didn't really watch Raw live. But I did watch SmackDown when it was live growing up because it was the weekend. I could stay up much later, and so I would watch SmackDown. Oh, not just at home, but whenever I would sleep over at my grandmother's house, because I used to sleep over there all the time. She loved having us, and me and my sister loved going over there. Usually, while my sister and my grandmother were in her room, my grandma's room, they would usually be watching shows like Law and Order and CSI, and they would even play on the computer, which I sometimes would go and play on the computer as well. Oh, but otherwise, if it was a Friday night and we were staying the night or the weekend or whatever, I would usually be in my grandmother's living room on the TV watching SmackDown, and I watched faithfully. I was a SmackDown kid through and through, and like I said, I was watching in 2008. So that time around that time was an interesting time. Around 2008 was when WWE was shaking off the last of the ruthless aggression era, and the WWE was essentially in the hospital in labor, about to give birth to the PG era. Yep, there's a visual you're not getting out of your head anytime soon. Because of that, a lot of stuff was starting to get toned down a little bit. Didn't have a lot of the crazy stuff that they had during the ruthless aggression era. But they did still have some stuff every now and then. For example, around the time I was watching, that was the time when Edge was feuding with Rey Mysterio. And of course, there was the episode where Ray he landed on Vicky, who was in the wheelchair after Edge had proposed to Vicky, and Ray confronted them, and then pretty much from the build up to WrestleMania. So after No Way Out, Ray was out. He had the bicep injury. Go and watch my review of No Way Out to learn more about that. That I just dropped yesterday. But pretty much for the rest of the year, Edge would be mainly feuding with The Undertaker, and he feuded with him pretty much through SummerSlam. But every week, Edge would always be up to shenanigans. Now, we talk about how much of a menace 2009 Randy Orton, aka Bald Randy Orton, was, and he very much was so. But we can't forget Edge. Like Edge was an absolute menace as well. Not quite to the level of Randy Orton, but man, Edge was always such a convincing bad guy. And as a kid, I couldn't stand Edge. Edge, like he was pretty much the bane of 8/9-year-old me's existence because I hated Edge. Edge was a little jerk, always managing to squeak away either with the World Heavyweight Championship or just getting off the hook for her screwing others over, or always one upping the competition, which is why one of many reasons why he was called the ultimate opportunist, of course. And Edge definitely leaned into that so much, dating and marrying Vicky for her power, and yeah, the romance between Edge and Vicky, was pretty weird. Look, different strokes for different folks. For those of you who are into the older crowd. I'm not judging. I'm not judging. I'm not here to kink shame, but it very much was kind of strange that Edge was so into Vicky. They were having this romance. They made out on uh on TV and made everybody gag. But I would watch SmackDown for several years to come, especially live. I Especially when names like Jeff Hardy and CM Punk would come around. Punk had his straight edge society, and Punk having the straight edge society was like this was a time. This was around like the dark ages of SmackDown, or the dark ages of WWE, I should say, where a lot of stuff really was just not working. That era, like 2010 to like 2012 or 2013 or so. But I remember definitely around that time, CM Punk and his straight edge society was one of like the highlights. It's because Punk was just out here. He was rocking the full Charles Manson look. Excuse me. He had his disciples, his followers. He had Luke Gallows. He had Serena Deeb. It's crazy to think that CM Punk and Serena Deeb, at least on TV, never interacted while CM Punk was in AEW. That's actually pretty surprising. Uh, but CM Punk had the straight edge society, and also fun fact for or my keen-eyed viewers, if you look at the one segment where Serena is caught in the bar drinking alcohol by Punk, they had the footage. The guy next to her is a very young Adam Cole. Baby, but every time you say Adam Cole, you're legally obligated to say baby. Them's the rules, but but there was that era, and like I said, I would tune into Raw occasionally, and it became even better because eventually we got DirecTV. We had cable for the longest time, and shout out to the people who would watch on cable because SmackDown would go from several different networks. Like they would go from network to network. Or I remember at one point they were on CW, they were on My TV Buffalo, they were on Sci-Fi, they were even on USA at one point. From what I remember, or SmackDown's had several different homes, um, but of course, I managed to watch it almost all the time. But thankfully, when we got DirecTV and I learned how to record stuff on the DVR, that was a game changer because then I would tape Raw and SmackDown. So even if I missed them, especially when I missed Raw on like the weekends and everything, or later on at night when I would finish my homework, then I would go in and check and catch up on what I missed on Raw. But that being said, I still very much tuned into SmackDown, and growing up a SmackDown kid, I feel like in if you look in WWE's history, maybe not as much nowadays, unfortunately, but throughout most of WWE's history, I feel like SmackDown's almost always been better than Raw in a lot of different ways. Of course, there was the era of the SmackDown Six. Meanwhile, Raw had Evolution and the Reign of Terror, unfortunately. Yeah, but But I feel like people still, to this day, people still haven't forgiven Triple H for that reign of terror. Or like, of all the things to be upset with Triple H over, or especially nowadays, I think the reign of terror is probably chief among them. Like Triple H could donate like 100 bajillion dollars to charity. And pretty much disarmed every nuclear device in history and give everyone $1 billion, and people still would not forgive him for the reign of terror. But thankfully on SmackDown we were chilling. We had the SmackDown Six. We had a lot of the like major stars of the Ruthless Aggression era, such as like John Cena, Brock Lesnar, were on SmackDown. Eventually, the World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship switch brands. At first, the WWE Championship was on SmackDown and the World Heavyweight Championship was on Raw. But then, with the 2005 draft, John Cena, who was the WWE Champion, made his way to Raw, and Batista, who was the World Heavyweight Champion, made his way to SmackDown. And that's why, even though I know the history, I know kind of the history of like the first brand split and where the championships lay and everything. Uh, I always associated the World Heavyweight Championship with SmackDown. It just fit it, and I guess it makes even more sense because with the WWE Championship being kind of the flagship championship for WWE, its most recognizable championship, why not have it be on its most recognizable brand, that being Raw? But always associated the World Heavyweight Championship with SmackDown, even with knowing the history, kind of just the era I grew up in, and around the time I was watching, and this is when you had talent like Edge, Batista, Rey Mysterio, Undertaker could still go for the most part. Like I feel like 2007, 2008 was kind of that sweet spot for the Undertaker, where he was enough of like a grizzled veteran in the business he had been in for about a decade or so. Oh, a decade and a half at that point. Means just about how maybe a little even more so, but he was still very much able to go in the ring, and this was still when like a match on like free TV for the Undertaker was feasible. Well, and so well, that's what we had gotten at a lot of points, and you also had the tag team division on SmackDown that was fire, such as like Paul London, Brian Kendrick, Deuce and Domino. Oh, shouts out to them. Um, uh, and stuff like that. Growing up, a SmackDown kid was a lot of fun. Like I said, tune into Raw when I could, but for me, and me personally, growing up, SmackDown was very much where it was at. And we can't forget about the theme music. I feel like SmackDown has always had fantastic theme music, whether it be the OG, whether it be Beautiful People, whether it be Rise Up, the absolute best SmackDown theme, Fight Me, or even some of its later themes. SmackDown was always fun. Now, of course, getting older and having more responsibilities, I couldn't tune into SmackDown as much. I would still tune in whenever I could, especially around like the era of people like Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler, like the time of the second brand splits. Nowadays, I mainly catch the highlights because, of course, your boy's older, boy's got a job and everything. Of course, just doing my adulting thing, but I still reminisce on those times because those were some great times, and SmackDown on will forever hold a place in my heart. And I just remember having so many memories of watching SmackDown on growing up, and very formative years. Like of course, every wrestling fan has their kind of formative years, and I'm glad I got to spend my formative years watching SmackDown. And even like the Green Day theme they had around like 2011 or so. Was pretty decent. And lest we forget, later on in like 2011, we were fully in the dark times, but we still had some highlights, including the one more match rivalry between Randy Orton and Christian, aka probably one of the best WWE rivalries. My goodness, probably one of the best rivalries. There we go. In WWE history, was between Randy Orton and Christian. Like that was a rivalry I remember vividly. There was a rivalry between Jeff Hardy and CM Punk. Like SmackDown was hooping, and SmackDown was hooping quite a bit. It's and even as things evolved of stuff of always he's you always find some silver linings, even nowadays where SmackDown and not as good as it was. There's still some okay stuff going on they are teasing a breakup of the Street Profits, which if they break up, that might break my heart. But um yeah, so growing up as a SmackDown kid was a okay, and that's why I feel like I always gravitated more towards SmackDown than I did Raw. Like SmackDown, like Raw was that distant cousin where you enjoyed them, you enjoyed hanging out with them, you enjoyed their company and everything. But you only see them every now and then, maybe at like Thanksgiving or like Christmas, and maybe you'll talk to them or chat them up whenever you get a chance, which isn't super often because you're busy, they're busy in life, and they got job responsibilities, kids, whatever, or you have job responsibilities, kids, whatever, and you don't see them that often. But for me, SmackDown felt like that cousin you saw all the time, that cousin that lived like in the same city, maybe down the street from you, that you hung out with just about every weekend, and and the reason I kind of relate that to myself is because I do have a lot of cousins who don't live in the same city I do, but yeah, SmackDown was that cousin that just lived down the street. He you hung out with all the time. You probably went to the same school. Your parents, that being your parents, and then their siblings, or however the relation is, they're super close, and so you get to see them all the time. Like obviously, you still love the other cousin you don't see as often, but there's the other cousin that you're more familiar with. And for me, that's how SmackDown very much was growing up. So, in my heart, will forever be Team Blue, at least when it comes to that. But that is going to do it for this video. Thanks for allowing me to kind of ramble a little bit and kind of reminisce on my childhood. More to come as the month goes on. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on those post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you never miss an upload, and let me know in the comment section below what are your thoughts on this discussion video, and did you watch SmackDown or Raw more as a kid growing up? Let me know in the comments. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.